Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some news coming out here for you. So we've got a report that the ICJ, also known as the International Court of Justice, has recently ordered today for Israel to halt its offensive on Rafah. This is the city on the Gaza Strip on the southernmost side. And Israel's been wanting to move into this city here for quite some time now, for several months. And it looks like, at least according to the court, they're not going to want them to go in. They want them to immediately halt their military assault. Okay, so this is very big news because obviously Israel's been wanting to go into Rafah for a very long time. I think they're going to completely ignore this court ruling because, as far as I know, the court doesn't even have any police or anything like that to enforce this order. But what could happen here, to my understanding, is if they go forward with this offensive, what this could do is force sanctions on Israel by multiple countries, considering that they're not supposed to be doing this anymore. So I am seeing video footage online that the IDF is still operating throughout Rafah. Okay, they have not complied with this. I haven't seen any reports coming out either as far as Israel saying they will comply with this. They are being ordered as well by the judge to report back within a month and to make sure that they have halted their offensive. But I don't think that's going to happen here. We'll have to see what happens here in the next few days. But this just got released today as far as this information. But yeah, these judges at the United Nations Court, they have ordered Israel to halt their offensive. So we're going to talk about this some more right now. Let's go ahead and get into this. I have an article here on Al Jazeera. It says ICJ orders Israel to halt its offensive on Rafah, Gaza in new ruling. Judges at the top United Nations Court order Israel to immediately halt its military assault on the southern city or Gaza city of Rafah. So it says down here. Oh, by the way, this is the judge that ordered the halt of the offensive. Okay. So it says judges at the top United Nations Court ordered Israel to halt its offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah and withdraw from the enclave in a case brought by South Africa accusing Israel of genocide, citing immense risk to the Palestinian population. Real quick about this too, when it's talking about South Africa, I forgot to mention that this is one of the reasons why the court even held this vote to begin with, because I saw this being announced yesterday that they were going to be holding a ruling for today on Friday, May 24th, 2024. And this is because apparently South Africa was asking the court to rule on this, okay? Because we know that they've brought a case as well to the ICJ and told them that Israel's committing acts of genocide in the Gaza Strip. This was months ago when this first was announced, and I've been covering it multiple times. And now they've recently asked the ICJ to vote on halting this offensive in Rafah. So it continues here saying Friday's decision marked the third time this year that the 15 judge panel has issued preliminary orders seeking to rein in the death toll and alleviate humanitarian suffering in Gaza while ordering a legally binding. The court has no police to enforce them. So yeah, they don't have any police. They can't really enforce this order technically. But it is legally binding. So that's why I was saying I think the most that we can really see happening here at some point is if Israel refuses to abide by these court orders, that at some point, I don't know how soon this can happen, but I would think sanctions would be next for Israel. Reading out a ruling by the International Court of Justice or World Court, the body's president, Nawaf Salam, said provisional measures ordered by the court in March did not fully address the situation in the besieged Palestinian enclave now, and conditions had been met for a new emergency order. Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate, which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, Salam said, and called the humanitarian situation in Rafah disastrous. So they're talking about genocide here, okay? That's technically genocide, physical destruction in whole or in part of the Palestinian people. I believe that's part of genocide, and obviously that's what they're being accused of. South Africa's lawyers had asked the ICJ in The Hague last week to impose emergency measures, saying Israel's attacks on Rafah must be stopped to ensure the survival of the Palestinian people. Reporting from The Hague in the Netherlands, Al Jazeera's Step Vason said that 13 of the 15 ICJ judges agreed to call on Israel to halt its assaults. It looks like majority of them said to immediately halt this offensive. Salam said 800,000 are displaced and that he doesn't believe Israel's word that they are provided safety and humanitarian access. He said that there was no evidence of that, she noted. That's why the court has now made a very strong order that Israel should immediately stop its offensive and military operation in Rafah and withdraw its troops from there. He also made a ruling on the border crossings that they must be reopened as soon as possible to get humanitarian aid in. So this is a big problem for Israel now. We don't know for sure if they will halt their offensive. I think they will continue on regardless. I've heard this from Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, many times, that regardless of if the world turns on them or if any court orders or anything like that happens, which now we're starting to see that they will continue their offensive until the job is complete. But I will say, from what I'm hearing down there in Gaza, it's not going very smoothly. And it looks like in order for them to achieve any kind of a victory, which I don't even think would be a full victory ever, would be to operate down there potentially for several more months at least, maybe even more years. Because we've also been hearing as well that more people have been joining Hamas apparently too, and Hamas has been regrowing their ranks and expanding throughout the Gaza Strip again, not just in Rafah anymore. Even on the northern side of Gaza, if you weren't aware of that, there's apparently Hamas is starting to pop back up in those areas where Israel had previously operated and supposedly eliminated Hamas in those areas. Now they're reemerging and regrowing again. She said that the judge also stressed that observers from the UN have to get access as soon as possible to make sure there's that no evidence of any possible war crimes disappear from the region. The ICJ has also ordered Israel to report back to the court within 1 month over its progress in applying measures ordered by the institution. So they got to report back in 1 month, make sure they're complying. Most likely they won't, but we'll have to see. And yeah, it looks like they want to get access to Gaza to make sure that they do that. The IDF does not hide any war crimes so they can investigate, I'm assuming too, which I'm not going to say this is war crimes because there obviously hasn't been any actual investigation or any court hearings or anything like that as of yet. But we did hear a little while back that there was like massive graves that were found near the I think it's Al-Shifa hospital. I might be saying that wrong, but there was like a major hospital in Gaza. I think it was called Al-Shifa. And they were finding like 2 or 3, maybe more mass graves where there was tons of people that were being buried there after the IDF operated inside of that hospital. Apparently they found, I don't know if it was like tens or hundreds of Hamas members that were in there that were hiding out inside of the hospital. And it took them several weeks to operate there and remove Hamas and get those people out of there. And soon after that, that's when we started hearing about all these mass graves around that hospital. So yeah, I'll go ahead and cite this down below if you guys want to read some more of this. Definitely a pretty crazy story to start off the day. And yeah, it looks like the ICJ is going to be ordering Israel to immediately halt their offensive on Rafah. And this is definitely going to upset Benjamin Netanyahu. He's been getting a lot of pushback lately with this whole offensive into Rafah in the Gaza Strip period. You know, it's been like that throughout time, but it's definitely more pressure now than it ever was before. And we'll have to see how this affects their goal here to eliminate Hamas. It's going to be very difficult for them to do that, and it's looking more and more every day like they might not be able to. So let me know what you think down below regarding this story. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.